Yo, people, back again for another week. Another one's there. It's only the two of us this week, it's looking like, but I mean, come on, man. We gotta enjoy our presence. You know what to do. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with your people. We're getting towards Christmas now, man. Getting towards
Mm.
Christmas. 2022 is coming soon. It's gonna be our first year. Mad thing, mad thing. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the subscribers, comments, man. Shout out Adage. Comments commented last week and he's been commenting quite a couple times. Appreciate it, bro. But yeah, you man, continue to just show the love, continue to spread the word, you know what to do. But there weren't many things to talk about today. I'm thinking not many things come up. No new narratives about and bang. Just hear about Aubameyang. His contract no his contract. His captaincy's been stripped. Mad thing. Let me just go to Dan first. I need to get your thoughts on this. Like, what was your thoughts on Aubameyang as a captain, first of all? And do you think what Arteta's done is justified?
As a captain, yeah, I think most Arsenal fans can come to an agreement that Aubameyang, even though for, I'll say the last 2.5 years, he's been our best player, he's not the captain type player. Like, he's not a vocal leader. He's not that type of guy, the big personality in the dressing room that people kind of fear, if you know what I mean. Like, when you think of captains, like even players like Henderson or players like Vincent Company for Man City previously, John Terry. If you think about real captains, these guys are usually the very vocal leaders in the team. And I think everyone kind of knew Aubameyang is never really that kind of captain. Like, he's not really that guy. He's more laid back, and I think in that sense, it's not a bad thing that he's been stripped of captaincy. So I don't know. I don't really feel badly about it, but I think the way he's been stripped of captaincy is what has been dividing people, because this is the second time now that he's had disciplinary issues in 2 years, and now once I hear it, like, stuff happens, isn't it? Like, he was late. So once, you know, it is what it is. And he got benched, came back into the team, started doing his thing. It is what it is. But twice, it's hard to make a case for you when you're caught breaking disciplinaries again. And especially, like, we're talking about Mikel Arteta, and whatever you think about Mikel Arteta, I'm not his biggest fan. One of the things that he said when he came in is he has his own principles that are non-negotiable, and these have to be met. And if they don't, then you don't play. And I mean, if Aubameyang's not meeting them non-negotiables, then we have to take Arteta for his word and assume he's not going to play.
100%. You know, I kind of look at it as yeah, Aubameyang is not your characteristic, like what you normally characterize as a captain. You know, quite jovial, quite free.
Mm.
You know, free, just a free guy in it. But obviously, I don't really believe in the standard idea of a captain of a guy that has to shout. You know, this almost bravado, like aggressive person. I don't really necessarily believe in that. I believe captaincy is all about leading by example and always being the guy that people look at. And there's different types of captains. You know, you got your, like you're saying, your Vincent Companies, your those inspirational types of leaders. You got maybe someone like a Kante who's the silent leader. You know, in the mode of a
But
like a.
would Kante be a captain though? I think that's the difference. You can be a
Mm,
leader but not a captain.
I hear that. I hear that because a leader's more about. I feel like a leader's more about respect
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
agreed, agreed.
dressing room. In it, it's like kind of like the spiritual leader in the sense where
Mm,
people go to them. So
yeah,
Aubameyang might be one of those guys, isn't it? But I don't know if
because it's like Mo Salah, for example. Like, Mo Salah is definitely a leader for Liverpool because he's their best performer, but he's not a captain.
I hear that. No, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, I get you. I get you. But with we don't know like the context of everything going on with Aubameyang's life. Obviously, there's been things about his mother and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, for stuff like this, you kind of do have to be quite sensitive and tread quite carefully because you don't know what people are going through, and that's one thing you do have to be a bit more sincere and careful about talking
Mm.
about as if we know the backstory of things. But at the end of the day, if he's not doing the duties of a captain, which part of being a captain is self-image and almost portraying the club in a great light. And there has been a lot of question marks about him, whether right you're wrongly. And yeah, I'm not really against it. But one thing, are you impressed with like the way Arteta has kind of been almost quite firm with his principles? Like he hasn't really bent it, you would say.
You say that, but he picks and chooses, and that's the thing that irritates me. When it comes to players, certain players they can get away with it, and other players can't. Like obviously, the main suspects that have been a lot of people have felt have been treated really harshly are Özil, um, Saliba, Guendouzi. People think them three are like the three that are treated the most harshly, and then you compare like Guendouzi, for example. Guendouzi essentially was axed from the team because he had an argument with Socrates in training, who, by the way, is gone and was not good enough for the team, and because he showed a bit of passion and grabbed Morpay by the neck after the loss against Brighton. And then, so he's essentially been axed from the team. He's not coming back to the team. And then you have someone like Willian, for example, who went out to Dubai in the height of COVID and had no punishment at all, broke COVID laws and was playing the very next game. No disciplinary action. Like, and I think it doesn't help that at the time Willian was playing very, very badly. So a lot more people kind of were frustrated by that. But I still don't like that inconsistency, man. I think you have to treat everyone the same in the squad. And I do understand that different players have different personalities, and some players you need to kind of put your arm around their shoulder and kind of motivate them, and other players you need to give them tough love. But when it comes to discipline, I think it still needs to be consistent to some degree.
I hear. But the thing with let's say we use the Willian and the Guendouzi, we've now
Mm,
seen 3 or 4 clubs mention the same thing about Guendouzi being
mm,
quite a loose cannon. He's
mm,
very childish, and then someone like a Willian, who we saw the way he ripped up his contract, and we saw him at Chelsea. Say what you want about him, the guy is a professional. He's
mm,
dedicated to the cause, in it. So it's one of those things where we also have to look at it and say, someone like William, from just what we can see and his perception, if you tell him, okay, I don't want you to do this again, you would have a greater confidence that he would listen compared to
mm.
Guendouzi, who has a track record of being quite stubborn and quite. He's still a young guy, isn't it? He's still
Yeah,
learning it.
yeah. He's a
So
childish guy.
yeah, so I guess we do have to play and look at that and say, okay, maybe this is the reason
Yeah.
why
Take it
Arteta
to
has.
some
Yeah,
context with per player. I hear you.
yeah. So that's the thing. But do you think the time is a bit off with the taking it off?
I don't think there is a right time really to strip someone of captaincy. I don't
Mm,
think there's a perfect time to do it. Like I think there's a lot of discussion of who's going to be the new captain and whatnot, and I know we'll probably get into that, but I think if we compare the last captain, Granit Xhaka, when he was stripped of his captaincy, I still think that was extremely harsh. I don't think he should have been stripped of his captaincy. But this time, I think it's less harsh. I think it's more understandable why he's been stripped. So I don't think it's a bad time, by the same logic, I don't think there is a good time either. It just kind of is what it is.
So you know what? Let's even look at it now with like potential Arsenal captaincies.
Mm.
Let's pull up the squad. Pull up the squad. Let's see. Any names that stick out?
Do you know what it is? When it comes to the captains, I don't like appointing a new player as a captain or
Mm,
a injury-prone player as a captain. Because for me, I think they need to be someone who's a fixture of the squad, a real like part of the furniture of the starting 11, if you know what I
mhm,
mean. And for that, I think it's difficult because like if we're talking about like leaders, like the leaders in the Arsenal dressing room, it's clear that the two biggest leaders are Xhaka and Ramsdale in terms of being vocal and being big personalities. But
mm.
Xhaka obviously he's there's no chance he's going to become captain after he was stripped previously, and Ramsdale only just joined the club, so I think it says a lot about the squad if a guy that joined what 4 or 5 months ago has become the captain pretty much instantly.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Ramsdale as well is that he doesn't really have. Obviously, he shouldn't really play a part, but his reputation isn't. He hasn't done enough in the game in a
Yeah, he's
sense.
not a massive name.
Yeah, so it's not even a thing of because part of being a captain obviously is the respect, and you kind of gain that respect from also what you've done in the past. And Ramsdale doesn't have that
But I
body of
mean,
work yet.
like we look at Jordan Henderson before he became captain, he was widely considered to be a bum.
But
Why?
he was respected in this. I would imagine he was quite
By who?
respected in the squad at Liverpool because he had been there for
But
a while.
okay, I take that point. But like in terms of his playing level, I don't think his playing level was that high when
I
he
think
was
because he was an
captain.
England international at them times. This was like when did he get the captaincy? Like after he was
After
vice
Gerrard,
captain, and then he
yeah,
was so he was playing for England at the time. Ramsdale,
he was.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't playing like when because like after he became captain, I think he really fulfilled that role
Yeah.
and started playing to a very high level in 2017-18. But when he got the captain's armband, I remember most of the Liverpool fans wanted him out.
Mm, mm. I heard that.
But I mean, like moving this to Arsenal, like if we actually have two international captains in our squad, Tierney and Odegaard are both captains of their country, but Tierney for me is too injury prone. He's not in the starting 11. Like I don't know, I can't see Tierney playing 35 games out of 38 in a season.
Mm.
Like I can't see him finding that consistency, which is what you need. And Odegaard, I think he's kind of the same kind of uh logic or same kind of thing that Aubameyang has, where he's not that vocal big leader.
I mean, we were saying that Lacazette is a shout.
Yeah, he's obviously he's. It looks like he's leaving at the end of the year, so maybe in the short term I think it makes sense just because you can tell he's very respected in the squad. He's been there a long time, and I mean, he might not be playing at an incredible level now, but at one point he was quite a big name throughout Europe, and people were very aware of who he was.
Mm-hmm.
So he does gain that respect as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's not really many that you can look at. Like
Yeah,
Gabriel, I don't know how good his English is. I haven't really heard him speak.
that's one thing that like it's kind of indicative of Arsenal, to be honest. If you have no leaders in your squad, you can't really play at the highest of levels. Like you need that certain someone, and like they don't even have to be like the most incredible player because I would argue that David Luiz was probably the biggest leader in our dressing room when he was at the squad, and if he was still here, he'd probably be the favorite to be captain.
Yeah, you'll definitely give it to Louise if he was. If this happened this time last year, you'll
Yeah,
probably look to give it to Louise because I
and I
mean,
don't think many people would have complained either.
because that's one thing
But
I rate about Louise. Yeah, is that when he messes up, he'll be the first.
yeah,
Like
100%,
I don't know. He's just a
100%.
very nice guy as well. He just has personality. You can
You
just
can
see.
tell he's very
Yeah.
highly respected as
Uh-huh.
well, and I mean, I think maybe with time and as players get older, they might become highly respected. Like
Yeah.
I can imagine like players like Tierney is a good example. Tierney, Gabriel, Ramsdale. I can imagine them three becoming very if they continue in the kind of growth and development that they're on now. I can see them becoming highly respected. But as of right now, it's very difficult to see because captain's a long term thing, especially in a young squad.
Mm.
And if you mess up the captain, then it could mess with the kind of dynamics of the squad.
Mm. Would you know? Academy boys are they're far away.
You mean Saka, Smith Rowe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're very young. You can tell they're very respected in the squad, and obviously they've been at Arsenal for years and years and years, so they know where it is. But I just think they're very young, and to be kind of essentially placing the burden of your club on their shoulders is a very big pressure to have. But I mean, Arsenal have done it before as a club. Like Tony
Fabulous.
Adams was captain when he was 21 years old,
Mm.
so it's not like a new thing for our club. But that's a very different time to now. And I don't know how Saka or Smith Rowe would take to that pressure because neither of them are very vocal leaders either.
Mm. True, man. It's true. I can't. Yeah. I just give it to Lacazette for them till the end of the
Mm.
season, man. And I can even see him being the captain anyway. Who's the vice captain anyway?
I think Xhaka.
Oh, Jack is vice captain.
I think so.
If he is, then I don't see the issue of giving him captaincy. But
Yeah, I think it's
obviously with
just.
the past, isn't it? Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't know about the rest of Arsenal fans, but I personally didn't think he was either. I don't. Firstly, I don't think he was in the wrong, and secondly, I don't think he done anything that bad. Because especially some of the stuff that they were saying, some fans were saying about him, about his family and stuff. I think that response was probably justified.
Yeah, man. Some of I remember it was like about his kids and his
Yeah,
wife
that's
and stuff like
outrageous. Like,
that. Bro. That's I call them Twitter hooligans, bro. That's
yeah,
Twitter
yeah,
hooligans for you, bro.
them guys are. I think a lot of people forget that footballers are players. Like even with Aubameyang, like I know no one really knows the ins and outs of his situation, but most people kind of are going but with the belief that it's to do with his mum who's not feeling very well, and that's a very delicate situation for someone to be in. So I think people, because obviously people are criticizing him. Like I know Patrick Vieira came out today and said he's not leading by example, but I mean he's a human after all, and that's a very hard situation to be in.
Mhm. There was something that came up recently about just as a result of this about Arsenal captaincy being almost like a poison chalice. Like
Mm,
it was like the last five captains. It was
more than that, more than that. Like the
what
last 7 or 8.
do you think that's just indicative of just the direction the club has been through the last 10, 15 years with the way it's going?
I think it's indicative of the squad.
Mm,
I think of the squad, different circumstances is kind of how each captain kind of went because obviously Xhaka was the captain, Bamiyang was the captain, we had Koscielny, we had I think Mertesacker was the captain before that, and like a lot of these captains ended up either being mercenaries and forcing their way out of the club, or becoming very injury prone and not very good, or being stripped. And I don't think it's down to the Arsenal captain's armband. I think it's because the players in general probably weren't to the top level. Not all of them, obviously, because a lot of the players that forced their way out were playing to the top level. It's just the rest of the squad wasn't. But I think they just weren't. I don't know how to say it, but they weren't the real creme de la creme, if you know what I mean. Like, I think
mm,
the best captains we've had in recent years is probably Lauren Koscielny, and his because I think he had a fairly good run as a captain. I think that time period our defense was very solid and we were quite a respectable team. But obviously his kind of, I don't even know what to call it, shenanigans at the end to force his move definitely tainted his legacy, so people will see it in a bad light.
true. Yeah. I was reading something about it. Apparently, my man was injured in it, and then like they
Mm,
were playing him through injuries in it, and obviously he
yeah,
was getting older at the time in it, so he wanted like more recovery time and stuff like that. But Emery kept playing him through injuries and injuries, and then man just had enough in it and said, "No, I'm leaving." So
yeah.
with football and just with life in general, there's so much context that we don't know that makes us so easy to phase people as a villain when there's so much
Mm.
more
There's more than one side of every story, man.
for real. So that's why the
Whereas,
thing with Aubameyang is a bit like it's probably for the best, take that responsibility away from you. But I'm not gonna start saying oh, he did a terrible job because I remember one point where he was the guy for Arsenal and
yeah, most certainly.
he was carrying that club on his back in it. So
One thing I would say though, before we move on, is that I think when you look at a club captain, it's very indicative of where the club is in terms of how the level they're performing. And obviously, for the past, what, 15 years, we've not had a top elite level captain, and we haven't won the league in 15 years. So, but it's not just us, I would say. Like, Man United is another good example. For the last, like, 10 years, I'd say Man United haven't really had an elite level captain that you would class as one of them guys, if you know what I mean. And it's kind of indicative that they haven't really been challenging for the title for years. Like, I mean, their captain's Maguire right now. Before that, it was De Gea who was stripped of his
yeah,
captaincy. And before that, I think Antonio Valencia was their captain before that,
yeah,
and they haven't been at the top level. We look at Man City; they had company for a long time, and they were competing at the top level. Uh, uh, Liverpool with Henderson as well. Like you can say what you want about his abilities, but you can tell his leadership and his mental attributes, if you want to use football manager terminology, are top tier.
They are. No, he's a top. He's top man. You can tell. You can tell. He's so well respected. But yeah, captaincy is an important thing. Like,
Mm,
but with that, yeah, I feel like it might be a turning point for Arsenal. Could show that Arsenal are trying to change the direction that they're going in. So they're catering to people that maybe not that are not fully committed or fully there. They're saying, you know what, you can move to the side. Let's bring in someone that we believe is going to be the future. So it's going to be
mm,
interesting to see their name. But yeah, I feel like from what we're both saying, I think it was for the best in it, 100%.
yeah.
Let's move on to the next topic. So on Saturday, Man City beat Wolves 1-0. And a certain Raheem Sterling, who, in my opinion, he's the biggest diver in the league, bro. Just to put
I
that,
don't know about that.
bro, diving is pissing me off, bro. If you dive, you should get red carded. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it's annoying.
yeah, I agree.
But aside from that, Sterling scored his pen, 100 Premier League goals. Prem legend or too early to say?
Nah, most certainly a Prem legend. Most certainly. Let's be because Raheem Sterling is still young. He's what, 25, 26. He's still got
Let's see.
he's still got 5, 6 years at the top. That's a long time. He could easily finish with 200 goals. Easily. And whilst he's been under Pep Guardiola at Man City, he's been one of the best wingers in the world. I don't know. He's to me he seems very underappreciated, and I can't really put my finger on why he's underappreciated and it's not because for a lot of players it might be because they underperform for England or because whatever, but he's England's best at the Euros. He was England's best player by a country mile, like and even the players that I loved, some of them didn't have great Euros. Harry Kane didn't have a great Euros, but he's still loved by the nation. So I don't know why Raheem Sterling doesn't seem to, especially from this nation, doesn't seem to get the respect that I think he deserves.
Yeah, more times, sometimes it is down to racism as well.
I didn't want to say it, but I think that's
Sometimes it is down to racism, especially because he used to get so much hate back in the day. I remember. You
when he
remember?
first. I think people because when he first made a lot of money and immediately he had the Liverpool fans on his back, and understandably so. But a lot of the neutrals kind of disliked him because he cost a lot of money, and at the beginning he didn't hit the ground running, so they saw him as like a bit of a lazy English big money flop. And then I think they were kind of a bit lazy and couldn't be asked to revert from that opinion.
Yeah. Like for me, like Sterling's not my type of player in it. He's not
Mm,
like, but I always appreciate. You always gotta appreciate goal scorers because it's such an
mm,
important part of the game, man. You've seen his evolution, and I'm not trying to say that Sterling's like a terrible footballer or anything. Like you see his 1v1 ability, he's very good going past a man. Creatively, he's not bad as well. And you just seen him evolved into this great attacking weapon under Pep. You know, consistently getting 20 goals a season. Obviously, last season had a bit of a dip, but would I say he's a Premier League legend? I think it's more because he's quite young, isn't it? Like you're saying, he's only just turned 27.
yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I was thinking it depends because I don't know if it's for most players, but I feel like once you turn 30, so once you have 10 years, once you're a veteran, I think that's when
Yeah,
people start to say, you're a
I
legend.
appreciate you.
Yeah, you're a legend of the game because you almost have a 10-year body of work. Sterling came burst through young as well, innit? So
Yeah.
he has quite a long a long what's it called? A long cycle. But
Mm.
I don't know, maybe when he hits 30, but like if he was to retire now, he would be a legend. Like you're gonna remember him. I don't know how highly you're gonna put him though, that's the thing. How highly would you put him? Like what tier?
I wouldn't put him in the top tier, but I'd put him I class him very highly personally. But I think I rate Sterling probably higher than a lot of people. Because even like how he's viewed against his own teammates, like I'd say quite a lot of people view Morris as a better player than Sterling. when, if we're being honest, Sterling's clear of him.
I've
Like,
always said like there was a point where he's still world class Sterling to me. But I've never classed Mahrez as world class. I just never
yeah,
did. You know, maybe that's
Sterling,
one. Yeah, what?
he's been world class for a while as well, 4 or 5 years now. So I say, in terms of like Premier League legends, how many people have been world class for 4 or 5 years in the Premier League? Would you say?
I wouldn't say 4 or 5 years, maybe 2 or
I'd
3.
say probably coming up, probably 4 or 5 years at this point.
It might be, but I don't know. For me, maybe 2, 3 years world class. You know, I'm quite harsh in it. I'm quite harsh in it.
Mm.
But what was the question you said?
But comparing that with all timers, where do you think you'd rank with all timers? Because like, especially wingers, I think we're gonna see more and more modern wingers become legends in the Premier League because it wasn't as competitive back in the day. It was more about strikers and whatnot.
So wingers.
Yeah.
Who are the
So
top
obviously we've got
wingers?
Ronaldo and Salah. They're the top two wingers
Mhm.
in Premier League history. I don't think that's debatable.
Yeah,
But where do you think Sterling is compared to them? Like 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels below?
maybe 2, maybe
Mm.
2 levels. Yeah, yeah. He's
But,
you know, he's quality in it, but
but I struggle to see who's in between Sterling and them two. Who's in that level between them?
so in terms of Premier League greats, you'd have like your Perez's, the Hazards, your who else would there be?
Hazard's an interesting one. Hazard's a very interesting one because I think in terms of output, Sterling's a better goal scorer than Hazard.
Mhm.
But in terms of general impact on a team, Hazard has had a lot more impact on that Chelsea team. Way a lot more, hell of a lot more than Sterling does in a City team.
Yeah,
So in
I
that
don't,
sense, yeah, I see.
I don't
Yeah.
think even though I don't want to go into Hazard. I love Hazard, innit? Hazard's never going to be ever seen as a tier 1 Premier League legend, and rightly so
No,
because he didn't really because to be a tier 1 you kind of have to what's the right words? You know,
I think you have to consistently, season after season after season, be the probably the best player in the league, if not top three,
no, he was except from that one poor
every
season,
season.
except from that one poor season, except from that one shocking season. What's the right word? It's where like you transcend. He never transcended the league.
Mm.
Like you could argue Salah the way people. I feel like obviously recency bias plays a part, but I don't feel
No,
like has.
I think Salah is a different level to Hazard. With all due respect to Hazard, I think Salah is just, like you said, I think he transcends that.
I
Because with
think
Hazard, there's I think Hazard there's a maybe I'm wrong or remembering it wrong. I think there's a certain level of attainability where Arsenal fans, we had Sanchez at the same time, and rightly or wrongly we compared Sanchez to Hazard and felt, yeah, we have the better player here. We can compare Sanchez is better. With Mo Salah, I don't think anyone in the league is looking at him and saying, yeah, we've got him. He's better than Salah.
I don't. I feel like we also got to look at it like who around in the league is on par in terms of quality. Like who like you look at and say, yo, this winger is absolutely quality. Like you do have to look at the competition around Salah and say Salah is clearly so much better because KDB's kind of falling off.
Mm,
Mane's not as good as he once was.
mm.
That's one thing that people don't look at is that obviously Salah is doing his thing, amazing player, and he will rightly be remembered as one of the greats, isn't it? But the collection around him, it's not really because you look at when Hazard was there. Obviously, he has Sanchez, unbelievable player. Obviously, Mahrez was doing his thing. He was a bit more individualistic at Leicester. Obviously,
Mm.
there's who else was there? There's
There's
Mata,
Sterling was there
there's
doing his thing.
Özil, there's
Mm.
David Silva. You see how we're naming off these names? How many truly elite attacking players are there in the Prem right now?
Elite attacking players:
Mm-hmm.
Kane, Lukaku. Uh,
But that's the thing. None of them are shining right now. That's the thing.
yeah, I think maybe that might play a part in it.
So that's why
Kane,
Salah seems
Lukaku.
so clear of everybody else. We've got a 36-year-old
But
Ronaldo.
even, but even when people were at their best, Salah was still transcendently better than them. That first season that Salah had, no one got anywhere near him.
No, Salah's good in it, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Mm. I,
But yeah, no, what we're saying, I feel like Sterling still might go up ranks, in it. He still might go up
yeah, I think
ranks, but
if he continues with the kind of consistency and the consistency and the way he's playing now for the next 3 years, 4 years, I think most certainly he's got to be remembered. If not because of like his peak is still very good, but I would say his peak isn't the same as Hazard's peak, but he might be able to compete with him just because of longevity.
uh, do you see the thing about Hazard to West Ham, innit?
Foolishness.
I don't know, man. The guy's falling off badly, man. He's falling off badly. It's bad, man. It's bad. I don't know. I don't. I never really talk about Hazard, but I do feel like you made a point. I don't think he will ever get the respect he deserves like that. Mostly because I obviously Chelsea fans rate him
Grossly overrated him.
too much. But then I don't know. I always say when I watch someone like a Hazard, Hazard's one of the best players I've ever seen. Like this guy's ability, it was stupid at times, bro. Like what this guy could do with a football is stupid, bro.
But he has, I think, so when we're talking Hazard, yeah, and I think I said this to you before, we're talking like, because Hazard gets compared to all timers. He gets compared to the likes of Neymar. He gets compared to some of the best players in the world. Like I remember I sent you a tweet a while ago where some Hazard stan said at one point he was the best player in the world. Like let's be honest, he was never the best in the world. But this is who he's being compared to. So he's being scrutinized on a superstar level. And when you're being scrutinized on that level, and you have the amount of red flags that he has, it's very difficult because let's be honest, his Champions League performances
Thank
for a
you.
superstar is unacceptable. His one season at Chelsea is unacceptable, and his fall off at Real Madrid is unacceptable.
Yeah.
For a superstar, whew,
You see,
that's
for
freaky.
me, though, was that I more look at Hazard during his peak than his career. Because in my opinion, his career, like you're saying, too many red flags. Like you're not gonna.
Yeah,
You should be remembered. He is one of the best players of his generation during his peak, but he's not going to be remembered. Like he didn't transcend sport. He was nowhere close
no,
to transcending. Like when people were comparing him to Neymar and stuff. I always said
mm,
Neymar was considerably better, but
mm.
what I saw from Hazard in his final season, he looked different. Like he looked like he was gonna go up.
I think that World Cup is probably the best I've seen Hazard.
Mm-hmm.
That World Cup performance, I think, I think it was Brazil, is the best I've seen Hazard play. And if we're being honest, Modric got player of the tournament. I think we both know that Hazard should have won that player of the
I
tournament.
actually still say Modric was the best, but
I disagree. I disagree.
if you say
And
Hazard,
that's yeah,
yeah,
that's I think that's one thing that goes for him is that because obviously we talk about I know people go overboard with the Messi and Ronaldo World Cup shouts, but that's one thing Hazard does have. In that World Cup, he was the best player, in my opinion, the best player in that World Cup.
imagine if you won that World Cup. I would be so shameless, bro. I'll be so shameless. I'll be so shameless. Bro. Yeah, mad thing. But yeah, no. Obviously, his stats are not shocking, but they're not up to par with
But
Salah's, for example.
that's one thing that irritates me though, like how people view Hazard on stats. And like, don't get me wrong, I think it's a very big thing amongst the Chelsea fan base. They love to until it comes to Drogba and Hazard, they'll use stats to try and prove that Chelsea players are better than everyone. But only when it's Drogba and Hazard they start to realize that football is more than just stats. And that's one thing that I kind of preach quite a lot is that stats shouldn't be the be all and end all. Like it's a way to kind of view certain aspects of the game, is a way to kind of keep track of certain aspects, but stats shouldn't be the way that you view players, if you know what I mean. Like I think Bruno's a good example of that, in my opinion, anyway.
100%. I don't know. There's still a good player in him. I feel like obviously not close to the player he once was because I feel like he's
You
lost
think he's
all.
got you think he's got anything left? Like
No, no, yeah, he's still
you
got
think
quality. Yeah,
because I think so his game wasn't built on physicality, but I think he had that burst of pace and his dribbling as well, especially at speed, was one of the things that set him apart. And I don't know if he's still got that
No, he
pace,
hasn't got it. He hasn't got the pace. He just
which makes it very difficult for him to be effective at a high level.
I think he's just got the creativity, but he's always like see when you're born with that level of technique, you can't lose that. You can't lose
Mm,
that technique, but the athletic side of it, yeah, but
become ineffective. He's going down the Isco route, where the technical level is incredible, but they're just so unfit. They're just ineffective.
I say with Isco, bro, the guy was as talented as Iniesta, man.
Yeah, he was an incredibly talented player.
Bro, that guy, bro, what he could do. Like I remember we were talking about it, like the '90s babies have disappointed. They've
Most
disappointed.
definitely.
Neymar's reached his potential, but it's just his
I
injuries.
would even disagree with that, to be honest.
You disagree?
Yeah. Neymar's not won a Ballon d'Or. And I understand he's competing in the Messi Ronaldo era, but Luka Modric has won a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah,
Neymar could have
but
stuck one.
but the fact that he was the only one, I feel like you can.
Even then, so Neymar moved to Paris Saint-Germain. The big move of his career was the PSG to get out of Messi's shadow, to become the man, to win the Ballon d'Or, to win PSG a Champions League, potentially win Brazil the World Cup. He's not done a single one of them three. And if we really look at his PSG career, a large majority of it he spent injured, especially in the important when it came to important Champions League games. It would either be Neymar or Mbappe who was injured. And I mean,
More
when you're
time it was
injured,
just Neymar. It was just
yeah,
Neymar all the time. Neymar all the time.
or going to Carnival in Rio.
Wasn't there something about his sister as well?
We're not going to get into them allegations.
Yeah, but you know what hurts him most was the Brazil that they won a Copa without him as well. That one's
Yeah,
quite bad. That one's
and
quite
the
bad.
World Cup, the fact he had a World Cup in his own back garden. To be, I'll be fair to him. That Brazil team stunk.
No, he performed well though. He performed
Yeah,
well.
but the fact that that team in particular got embarrassed,
He's
even though
lucky
he
he didn't
didn't
play.
play,
Him and Thiago
even though
Silva
he
didn't
didn't
play.
play,
Yeah,
the fact that they wore Neymar shirts and got embarrassed, and the fact that he couldn't play, he was injured. I think even though it's not his fault, it still tarnishes his legacy a bit.
Neymar, man. Yeah, it's like for me with Neymar. Again, I always say Neymar, one of the most talented players, probably top two most talented players.
Natural ability, even.
Yeah, top two most talented players I've seen. It's like I feel like he reached his playing abilities, like the limit of his playing abilities in a sense, but he didn't fulfill the legacy that you'd want him to fulfill in it of win
Yeah,
a
I agree.
Ballon d'Or,
I
win a
agree.
World Cup. You get what I'm saying? He didn't fulfill that. I
I
feel,
still think the best Neymar was under Luis Enrique.
yeah, I hear that. I hear that. But that's the thing. I understood why he left because a player of that ability, you can't be second fiddle to no one. Messi is incredible, but a player of that ability, you have to have your team around you. The
Mm.
issue is he went to PSG, which made sense, but when you're looking at it, it's the league. Is League R is the issue when you look at it because no disrespect to the league, it's a good league in it, but to be respected amongst everybody, you have to do it in the Liga, Premier League, and probably Serie A. It's a free because Bundesliga. I'm sorry, you're not really going to get respected as well. No,
Uh,
I love the Bundesliga, but you're not really going to get respected like
I don't. To be fair, I don't know because players like Robert Lewandowski are still very highly respected.
that.
I agree with you. I personally wouldn't. Like Neymar would never have gone to the Bundesliga, but I still think you can get your respect.
Okay, yeah,
But no, I think yeah, going to PSG I think was a bad because ironically he went to PSG and you could make the argument that he's became in the shadow of Kylian Mbappe. Whereas if he'd obviously it's a hypothetical situation. If he'd have gone to one of the Manchester clubs in the Premier League and became the main guy at that club, his legacy would be incredible.
right. Neymar, man, it's unfortunate as well.
Yeah,
He because we have this debate with Ore in terms of I don't question his ability and how good he is. It's more just about his legacy and like how
yeah,
he's gonna be remembered. he should be remembered alongside the likes of Dino's, Jose Dan's, and those sorts of players. But he doesn't have the, the accolades really to chat to them, man. Innit?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like he can't. He doesn't have a World Cup, and he doesn't. If he at least had a Ballon d'Or or something, maybe, but he doesn't have anything to really show for it. He's unfortunate because he did play with the Messi and Ronaldo's, but I mean, he's still going to be remembered though, because obviously when players like that, you always have an affinity with them. It's like you will not go away in it, but in terms of just how highly regarded he'll be held, I don't think I don't know, but 2022, you might change that. Since we're on this topic, is there any other players you want to talk that feel like probably doesn't get the recognition they deserve?
Are you talking all time or
all time? Any players?
all time? One that came to me recently is Juan Mata. I don't think Juan Mata gets nearly the respect he's deserved, especially in his prime. Prime Juan Mata is one of the most incredible players that I've seen. He had one season at Chelsea where he was unplayable.
It's just that he didn't sustain it for long. That's the issue.
A lot of it wasn't his fault though.
Jose, I blame Jose for that.
I was going to say that. Jose came in and he done the same thing with Oscar as well, where he just made him a workhorse. Which
the thing with Mata, you know why I made peace with it? When I look at it long term, Mata leaving, even though those two would have worked together, Mata leaving introduced the Hazard era. Because as soon as Mata left, Hazard took the number 10. And let's be honest, Hazard's a much better player, even though I love Mata. So you kind of, although you lost something so great, kind of gained something so much greater in a sense, which is why I'm not too disappointed. I'm more disappointed with that he went to United, who weren't the best sort of team. If he went to Wenger, it would have been beautiful, innit? But no, Ozil and Mata could have worked with Wenger.
Because Mata scored quite a lot of goals that season. I think he scored something near enough 20 goals that season. And he's a very Wenger-ish type of player, very high technical ability, very extremely good football IQ. Now, I think he's another player actually. Now we're talking about underappreciated players. I think Cesc Fabregas is the most underappreciated. Even though people rate him, I don't think they understand how good he was in his prime. Like, I'll put that out there. I think he's the best passer the league's ever seen.
I agree. He's the best passer I've seen, definitely, in the Premier League.
When he broke through in the Invincible, one of the greatest ever Premier League teams. He broke through into that team when he was 16, which is unheard. Like, we look at the likes of Saka, Greenwood, they broke through when they're 18. 16, he broke into that team, which is unheard of. And then he went on and some of the years he had for Arsenal before he went to Barcelona was incredible. And then when he went to Barcelona and in that Spain team, you could arguably say that he was a big part of revolutionizing the false nine in football, because he was in the Spain team especially. He played an important part and was the false nine in a lot of their games, and that you could make the argument that kind of laid the foundation for players like Firmino to play that role in later years.
He's very underappreciated. Like, how highly would you rate him? So let me use an example. Would you say he's better than Gerrard and Lampard?
No, but I'd say he's better than Scholes. Maybe that's Arsenal bias, but I think he's better than Scholes.
Scholes is better than both of them.
I disagree. I think Scholes is the worst.
Lampard and Gerrard, man. Yeah.
Lampard and Gerrard. But Lampard, Gerrard, and Fabregas are three difficult players to compare, because even though they all three play in the same position, all three play totally different ways and styles.
Cesc is a better footballer out of the
his technical ability is the highest out of all of them.
100%.
But I think there's attributes that you can't really like. I think Cesc is the worst leader out of all of them. I think especially Gerrard as a leader is probably the best out of all three of them.
If I talk about technical, I think Gerrard's actually the worst out of the three.
You could make that argument, but his technical ability is nowhere. It's not bad at all.
He's, Lampard and Gerrard, I always say, technically, or just comparing them are similar,
Mm,
very similar levels. I think obviously Gerrard's a better ball carrier. He's just
mm,
stronger. He's a physically the better player. Obviously,
mm,
passing wise, he was incredible, but so was Lampard, innit? But, bro, they were actually good at quite a lot of the same things because both had a good shot on them.
yeah,
Obviously, great goal scorers.
but
Obviously, yeah.
I think Lampard just was. I think he just had a better understanding of goal scoring than Gerrard did,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's maybe that might take him over the edge. I'm not sure. I'm still undecided between the pair of them, to be honest. But Scholes, I think, is quite a long way back. The reason why I think one of the reasons anyway why I think Scholes is a long way behind them is because when all three of them were playing, no one mentioned Paul Scholes in that conversation. It's only because Man United were a good team, and in retrospect, people have uh, um, become revisionists on Paul Scholes. At the time, he was nowhere near their level. Like he played for like 20 years, and only twice he was in the team of the year. This guy, I think he was player of the month like 3 times in 20 years. He was never even voted Man United player of the year. So he was never even the best player in his own team. When it came to England, Paul Scholes was never even considered starting over them two
But he retired early though. They were
because he
playing
couldn't
man.
get over them.
They were playing man left wing, innit?
Exactly, because they did not want to play Paul Scholes over Gerrard and Lampard. And I know loads of players in the game respect Paul Scholes. Like Thierry Henry said he's the best player he played against, which I mean I value Henry's opinion, but for me personally, I don't think Scholes is on the level of them two. And I think if we went back to that time especially, I don't think people would even consider him to be on that level.
Mm. You talk about overappreciated players. Two have come into mind: the
Mm.
Caucasian Pele and Dele Ali. But Dele Ali's worse probably because I never thought he was that good. At least with Rooney, Rooney was quality in it, but Dele Ali, man,
Ru-
just
But
a goal scoring hype.
the thing with Rooney is he underachieved massively internationally. And like people will point to his they'll say, oh, he's England's top goal scorer of all time. But in my opinion, that's the biggest false image ever. I think he has one goal in a World Cup, and I
Against
think he
Uruguay.
went to
It was against
yeah, and
Uruguay,
it
I
was
remember.
I think he went to 3 World Cups, 2 or 3 World Cups, and he has one goal.
I'll
It's
give him
not
some slack though, because I remember he went into '06 and 2010 injured. I remember, and he played shit. I remember that. I do remember.
That's 2 World Cup, and the third World Cup he scored one goal. And I remember it wasn't even the fact he wasn't scoring; he was trash.
He
He
was
was
trash. I remember
horrible. He was really, really poor. Wayne Rooney had one good tournament for England, and it was the first Euros that he broke out.
that.
That's the only good tournament Wayne Rooney had. I think he's internationally he massively underachieved, but when it comes to club level, it's very difficult to say that Wayne Rooney's an underachiever or
Yeah.
overweight.
But last question before we move on to our next topic: is
Mm.
Foden the most technically gifted English player you've seen? I don't think it's a question.
Yeah, because like
He is.
I
He
know
is.
you sent something into the group chat about like the best teenagers that the Premier League's ever seen and whether Foden's top 10. And that one, even then I was thinking like because as much as like I don't want to give it to him because like I'm thinking there has to be 10 teenagers better. And this is the same. Like I don't want to give it to him because I'm thinking there has to be someone technically better than Phil Foden. But outside of Wayne Rooney, I don't know if I ever have seen an English player as technically gifted as Phil Foden. And even Rooney, I don't know if he's because Foden has many, many years left in the game. I don't know. It's a very difficult one. I don't think there is.
Hey, Foden's a special guy, man. He's a special
Yeah,
player,
he's a special talent. But I think thankfully we're past the stage of calling every youngster generational. But if we're talking about talent in the Premier League, I think Foden is not head and shoulders, but Foden is the best, quite considerably in terms of talent.
man. In terms of talent, um, you could say Foden's the best. But like you said, it's not. I think he's even smaller than margin. I don't think it's
Mm.
that. I don't think it's that much really. But he's special. Special.
Yeah, but I don't think. But don't get it twisted though. Talent doesn't mean like his ability as a player and his potential. But I think in terms of like pure technical ability and footballing talent, he's the best, the youngster that we've got.
Nah, I hear that. I was going to talk about Newcastle, but what's there to talk about? You know, they got
We still
peas.
stink.
They're not a good team. They need to buy players in it, so there's not
I
really
see
much
they're
to.
linked with Sven Botman in the January window, which could be interesting, but I don't know if that saves them from relegation.
They need a new midfield as well, man. They need it. They need the
I thought you
midfield.
loved John Joe Shelby.
He's a good player, in it, but I'm saying what I was saying. I was projecting if he followed his trajectory from a young age. Because I remember at 17, because obviously I used to have like
Liverpool
look
TV.
look at Charlton as well, because obviously Charlton was like my local team sort of thing as well. So I kind of looked at them, and obviously he
Mm.
was highly rated from the academy as well. So, but you need to move on from that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he's
Willock might be decent, but again,
no, I think we done quite well to get 25 million. At the time, I was saying we should have got more, but 25 million in retrospect is a good fee because I think Arsenal fans especially knew that Willock, yeah, when he went on a good run of scoring for Newcastle, but I think everyone knew it wasn't sustainable. And with Willock, yeah, when he's not scoring, he's not contributing.
but Willock's probably in the obviously not. He's young anyway, but
Yeah.
right now he isn't as good as a Ramsey, but he's in a similar mode. I think he's a pure box to box midfielder, and the issue with
Yeah, a goal scoring box to box midfield.
I think the issue with him is that you're seeing nowadays like football always moves in cycles. The
Mm.
4-4-3-3 was the main thing, and Willock probably would have been thriving in it. But now
Yeah.
you're seeing how people are going to 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, five at the back.
But I still think you can thrive with them type of players though. Like Mason Mount is still thriving, and Mason Mount is still a goal scoring eight.
But he's a hybrid though. He's kind of good at a lot of things. Willock,
Is that because he's adapted though?
I feel like he's just naturally quite good at a lot of things.
I think that's because he's adapted to his surroundings, which good players do, and I think Willock hasn't.
Uh, I just feel like Willock is a pure box to box, but he's young in it, so he's still
Yeah,
moldable. So yeah, he
yeah,
can
yeah.
adapt him. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe due to just how football always changes, I don't think Willock probably has a very maybe at Liverpool, but Liverpool right now, they Henderson kind of plays sort of like a box to box, so maybe now.
Mm.
But there aren't many teams that you say they play with a box to box. He'll do well at Crystal Palace. He'll do well at Crystal Palace because he's in
Well,
a similar
besides
mode.
Conor Gallagher,
He's a similar mode to Conor Gallagher. But I'd say
but Conor
Gallagher's
Gallagher, I think Conor Gallagher is technically a hell of a
yeah,
lot better than Willock is.
yeah, he looks a lot
That's
more
an
clean than
interesting
that.
player, actually. Conor Gallagher is
I don't think
because
he will make it at Chelsea the way we play now.
oof, that's a very big talent to miss out on.
Because we don't play with a pure box to box. I think him at his best when he's attacking the box, when you just kind of let him just, run box to box, attack the box. If you kind of restrict him and say, you just stay outside of the box, don't go inside, I
Mm.
feel like you're gonna kind of restrict his abilities because he's very good at with those off the ball runs. Very,
Mm.
very good. But
Is he talented enough for you to change your system though?
he's kind of how you have your academy players, you have your tier one academy players. So like with you guys, your
Mm.
tier ones are like your Sackers, your Smith Rose. Then
Mm.
maybe tier two is like your Ainsley, Maitland-Niles. You get
And
what I'm
tier
saying?
threes and Ketia, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let him go Bundesliga or something, or just on loan.
Yeah, I hear
But
you.
like Gallagher's not like a tier one talent. You get
You
what I'm
don't
saying?
think?
I wouldn't put him on the same level as a Cho.
Because Chelsea, to be fair, Chelsea Academy right now is the best in probably in the world, to be honest. And you could argue that Chelsea have let go of Livramento, who is a very
We've
talented player.
changed though. We've changed.
Tarek Lamptey as well, very talented player. Tamori, very talented player. Abraham, who's a very good player. Is Conor Gallagher? Oh, I can't even speak. Is Conor Gallagher another casualty of the Chelsea kind of conveyor belt of their academy?
We're gonna have to see how Tuchel adapts if he does
Mm.
change his system because he has mentioned at times he might change to a back four. If he doesn't, then I can see potentially maybe him giving Gallagher a go and changing him.
Because he plays Loftus-Cheek now.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be dependent on preseason because I imagine Gallagher will want to come back and prove himself. So he might sacrifice himself for the greater good. But
yeah.
I don't know if you'll see the best version of him in that sense, if you get what I mean. But, yeah.
Because I think him and Mason Mount, if you play a 4-3-3, him and Mason Mount could combine well as 2 8s with a holding midfielder behind.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout, definitely. We're talking about Conor Gallagher. Would you say he's one of the signings of the season?
Yes, I think even though he's on loan, yes, I'd say for me, I think in terms of price and ability, the sign of the season probably would be Livramento. I think he's for a very poor Southampton team. I think he's a talent that you rarely get when you're playing at that essentially relegation level. And for the price they picked him up for, they're gonna sell in the next 2-3 years. They're gonna make big profit on him. Whether it's gonna be Chelsea buying him back, which I can't really see because they have Reece James, or someone else coming in and spending 30, 40, 50 million. It's gonna be very good investment, and it's gonna be very good in terms of his ability now.
Mm. Any other nominees for that signing the season?
You're not gonna like it, but Aaron Ramsdale, I think, he's proved a lot of people
I'm
wrong.
happy with that one.
He's proved a lot of people wrong. I think he's myself included, and I will happily put my hands up and say I was a massive critic. Like I was very against Ramsdale coming. Very against. I was furious. I'd even say that he was coming for 30 something million.
Yeah.
But since he's come in, I have to say he's really disproved a lot of the doubts that I have, and he's probably been. I'd say this season he's probably been our best performer.
You know another player I really like. I always like centre backs. Well, he's a centre back really, but one of your players, Tomiyasu. I know he's been playing
Mm,
right back, but I always like because he's a superb defender. He's so
mm.
good defensively. Because I was watching you guys against Newcastle, and Sam Maximan is one of the trickiest wingers. Not even just in the Prem,
Yeah.
in the
I think
world,
they're very difficult to deal with.
bro. And Tomiyasu dealt with him easily, and I was just
Mm.
like, he's so strong, technically he's so good on the ball. Obviously he's not great going forward, but
I
he's
think he has a lot of untapped potential there. I think
yeah.
you can see certain things where if he'd kind of refined his skills, he can be very good. Like he's played quite a few nice balls to Saka through, but yeah, I think that's definitely an area you can work on.
Mm. Obviously, shout out to Dennis. Dennis has been a very good signing. Yeah,
Dennis.
Manuel
Oh,
Dennis.
Emmanuel Dennis.
Yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
he's been. I was so surprised, because I remember there was a bit of hype about him a couple of years ago. I remember him, but I was surprised
Mm.
he went to Watford. I forgot, like, I didn't really know about him too tough. I was like, I thought they signed a different player, but the guy looks good. Looks good. Looks like
The
a
last I saw
troublemaker.
of the only thing I knew of Dennis before he signed for Watford was when he was playing for Bruges and he done the Sue at
It
the
was him.
Bernabeu. Yeah. I
Oh,
think so. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, it was Club Brugge, innit? I don't know if it was him
Yeah.
or, but yeah,
I
I
think it
heard it.
was him,
I heard about that. Yeah,
but I didn't realize that it was him that he moved to Watford,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
he's been good. I think him and if Watford go down, him and Sarr will probably get moves, and I think Sarr has been quietly performing.
Mm. Yeah, Watford, since Ranieri's come in, they've done all right. They've done all right, man.
They've
Done
been
all right.
okay. They've been okay. I'm trying to think of other signings this season because I think there has been a couple quite good ones.
Let me
Mm.
look. Let me see.
Arsenal, because I'll be honest, I ripped Arsenal signings before um the season started. Like Ben White, I really got on to us about it. Um, Ramsdale, of course, I said Nuno Tavares is another one who I thought he was going to be trash, but he's not been that bad so far.
Would we
Um,
mention Ronaldo, or is it just like he's too high a profile in it?
I think Ronaldo, you know what you're getting, to be honest.
Mm,
So I think one signing who's been quite good is Huang for Wolves.
yeah,
Every time I've
Hang
seen him, he's looked very dangerous, and I think he could. And this is a good one actually. Mark Cucurella for Brighton.
I haven't watched too much of Brighton, innit? So I wasn't. I
I've
wasn't
seen
sure.
I've seen him a couple of times, and because usually they play five at the back, and like I think last season they were playing on Dan Burn as the left wing back. So obviously Kukure is a big difference, but I know for sure, definitely when we played them, he was ripping Tommy Yasu. He was causing problems. So him, yeah. Damari Gray's another one.
Oh, he's done well. I always liked Demari Gray. I always thought there was a bit of potential in him, but you know, managers once they give you confidence, you're always a
Mm,
different beast. You're always a different beast, man.
yeah.
Uh, moving on to a final topic. Well, penultimate topic. We still have one more after this, but any players that are suspect that you're looking at a bit funny that need reviewing.
Unfortunately, my boy Jack Grealish has not been performing to the level of £100 million signing.
You know, you bagged today.
Yeah, but
I didn't even know.
this is the first time he's bagged in what, 13 games?
Wow.
And it's not even just that he's not been scoring because he's not a massive goal scorer. He's been playing pretty poorly.
When you deep it, yeah, and I saw something. They were saying like people that spent over 60 mil, you know, their signings have been a bit shocking or a bit suspect.
In recent years, I
Yeah.
think you could definitely make that point. Like if we're talking about signings over 60 mil that have really proved their worth, Van Dijk and Alisson are the only two that spring to mind.
Yeah, they're the only two, really.
Like I mean, Havertz, he scored the Champions League final winning goal, but his overall performances have not been
I'll
worth the
still
praise.
argue Maguire's been good, but obviously not
Nah,
to
nah,
that.
nah.
Obviously not.
£80 million.
Obviously, yeah, not at that level.
Nah. He's not an £80 million worth player. I
Uh,
think you know what it is with Grealish though. I and I've always said even when like he joined Man City, I've never really seen him as the Man City archetype player. Because like for me, and like you've said it multiple times, and I tend to agree with you. I don't think Pep Guardiola works extremely well with flair players who are very ball dominant. I think his system is very heavy on moving the ball and getting kind of all the attacking players involved and being very fluid. I don't see Grealish as the type of player who is just pass very quickly and move. He's a very dribble heavy type player, which I don't really see that fitting well. I never really saw it fitting well at Man City, and I think that's kind of why he's struggling.
yeah. But you know, with the thing with Pep though, with a lot of his players, we look at it now. Cancelo was looking funny. Even Bernardo last season was looking a bit funny. There's a thing, players do take time to adapt to Pep. There's only a few,
Mm,
like
mm,
Carl Walker was the one that adapted quickly. Obviously,
yeah.
for goalkeepers, it's different. Edison, you know, adapted pretty quickly. But you do look at it, they do take time.
Mm,
Ruben Diaz adapted quite quickly, but more time, it does take a bit of time in it. So
yeah, I agree. So
I'll,
we'll see.
I'll cut him some slack. I think, obviously, your boy, Thomas, Mr. Thomas, he's the one that
We
you
need
have
to
to
have a
look at.
serious conversation about him, to be fair, because he's had more horrific performances than good performances for Arsenal.
He's still a quality player. I would never
Yeah, I think
take that away
I
from him. But for a player of his ability, I'm expecting more. And
mm,
he hasn't shown
agreed.
that, innit? Hasn't shown
Agreed.
that 100%.
Another one is Tanguy and Ndombele.
You know, he came into my mind just now as well. Yeah.
He's another one that comes into mind because he promised big things when Spurs splashed what 60 million on him, and he's kind of the same boat as Thomas Partey. How many top perform? Because even Partey has had at least one massive performance against Man United at Old Trafford where I can say he dominated them. I can't think of one top Tanguy and Ndombele performance in a big game.
Because I remember when Jose first came, he did have a good period of like 3, 4 months. And the second half of the season, he just fell off, innit?
Mm,
But the issue with him is just fitness, man. The guy, he could. How many times? You know, he reminds me of Lacazette when Lacazette first came. Remember when Lacazette? He only used to play like 60 minutes. Arteta sub.
yeah,
No, not Arteta. Wenger used to sub him
Wenger,
off.
yeah.
Same with Ndombele. 60 or 70 minutes, man's gassed out. You get
But the
subbed
thing
off.
for me, the thing with Ndombele as a player, yeah, is he's technically very good and like he's good on the ball, he's aesthetically very good, but he's not effective. He doesn't have a role that he can play consistently in a game and affect the game and cause change, cause things to happen, get things moving. and massively helped the team. And that's where like, I kind of struggle to see where Ndombele kind of improves and goes from here.
I don't know. I feel like it's so easy to accommodate a player like Ndombele because he's one of those guys where kind of just like he can be a lot more, but he's like a ball carrier. Like, he's a fantastic dribbler. Like
Mm,
you know, you might have your ball winner alongside him. So let's say you have who's a good. Let's say you have Fabinho, and you say you have an
mm,
Ndombele. Ndombele is just a brilliant outlet of a guy that will just take you forward, innit? And then you have
mm.
your Salahs and your Manes that will do the rest, innit? He's almost a link man between from the defense to the attack. That's how I've
So,
always kind of looked at him.
so at his best, you could say he play using that example at his best. Someone like Gini Wijnaldum is a what he could kind of fit into that sort of profile,
Yeah, a
or
genie
like
with
a
more flair in
Kovacic.
it. Yeah, Kovacic but more flair,
Mm,
more bravado, more excitement. You get what I'm saying?
mm.
So
Yeah, but with this Tottenham team, I don't really see him doing too much. I'll be
I think he could
honest.
do well, but the issue with him is Conte really gonna be happy with a player like him that can't
Nah,
last for 90
he's not
minutes.
fit, man. I think
Exactly.
he's played like his. There's I can't remember how many games it was, but I think it's single figures where he's completed 90 minutes, which in like 2 years is shocking.
It's poor. It's poor, man. 100%. This final topic, the Champions draw. Obviously, they did it twice because they were trying to rig a Messi versus Ronaldo tie in it.
Wait for fuckery yet again
When was the last time that game happened? Messi Ronaldo. Obviously,
in the
as
Champions
you
League.
say, there was a group stage one, Juve Barca. I don't think anybody cares about that.
Nah,
But
in
in
the
two
Champions
legs,
League, I think the last time they played each other was the Champions League final, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't
oh, they
remember
played in
them.
2011. Remember? You remember when Messi did that crazy one where he went past that four Madrid man?
Yes, 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 yes.
It's been a while, you know. It's been a while.
It's been 10 years, which is
Yeah.
mad, but it's looking like we're not going to see it.
If I bet they hope that United and PSG go through because then they can do it again there.
I don't see PSG going through, man. I don't see PSG,
Who did they
unfortunately.
get again?
Real Madrid, who have actually been very good this year. Vinicius has gone up a 2, 3, 4 levels. And Benzema, you know what you're getting, man. A real Rolls Royce player.
Let me see if I can find the draws. Champions League.
I don't know if they've done the draws for the uh, quarterfinals yet or not. I don't think they have. I think it's just around the 16.
Yeah, I think it's just around the 16. So
Mm.
these are the games.
Man City getting an easy draw as usual.
Yeah, I imagine they should beat Sporting quite comfortably.
I think that game intrigues me though. I would watch it, but it's at the same time as the PSG Real Madrid game because that Sporting coach has made a massive difference for Sporting, and they seem to be a very difficult team to play against.
But yeah, City got too
Chelsea,
much
Leo,
quality for them. Way too much
you
quality.
know what how that's ending, man. Leo's getting knocked off easy.
Yeah. I feel like with the English sides, they should all go through. I'm happy.
I think they all will go through.
Yeah, I think they should all go through.
Man United might have the most difficulty against Atletico, and it's not because Atletico are good. It's just because the style they play.
Because Atletico, that's the thing, yeah, is a style of them being defensive. It's going to be a nuisance to break down. But going forward, I do love João Felix, but like,
No faith in Griezmann or Suarez.
that's
Because let's
Suarez
not
in
lie.
2022.
Because let's not lie. I don't think Atletico have bad players. I think they're just not the team they once were.
Nah, nowhere close, man. And it's just like they don't have players that can really hurt United, if you get what I mean. They have good players, like you're saying, Suarez, Griezmann, Felix, but I don't think they have the penetration to really hurt United. They don't have,
Mm.
that. Also, sometimes we are in this era. They don't have the physical prowess, in my opinion. None of their attacking players bring that. I think that's gonna hurt them.
But I think maybe their style might, if they play it correctly, their style might be able to just carry them because Man United struggle against deep blocks. Man United play their well under Ralph it might be a bit different, but Man United play their best football in recent years on the counter attack, and that's why when they had their recent little rivalry with PSG, where they played them a couple of times recently, they done well against them because they just counter attack PSG, and the likes of Neymar and Mbappe are not going to track back.
See, the thing with is that I would agree with you, but they got a guy called CR7.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's the main equalizer because he's beat Atletico so many times that
it's literally one of those ones.
it's
Take
inevitable
away
at this point.
CR7, you're saying what? Martial, Rashford, Bruno. Yeah, you're
The bomb
saying
squad.
you're saying maybe that's a 50-50 tie, but with Cristiano, it's 55-45 to United.
Yeah, he's a very big influence on that tie.
So
Because
let's
even
go
when Juve were trash, like he managed to pull it back and beat Atletico.
for real, man. So let's go through it one by one. Who we saying? PSG, Real Madrid. Who we saying?
I think Real Madrid take that tie. I think PSG's front three is just not going to work.
That's the thing. PSG defensively, with Marquinhos, Kambembe, Nuno Mendes, and Hakimi and Donnarumma.
Hakimi,
The individualism might be enough. It might just be enough.
variety as well, marshalling that midfield
It might
all
be enough.
time.
It could get them through. Obviously,
Mm.
when you face teams, if they were facing Bayern, Man City, or Liverpool, I'm not sure. Real Madrid, I don't. Real Madrid are in good form right now, but I don't think they're top quality. I feel like they're a tier below.
Yeah. I don't think Real Madrid have the star power that they once did. Benzema's the best player on that team, and Vinicius has stepped up, but I still don't think they have anywhere near the star power PSG have.
Mm.
That being said, I still think they beat PSG, but I I don't know. It's throwing a doubt in my mind.
Will we say it's kind of 50-50 that one, a bit more 50-50?
Yeah, that one's 50-50. That one it depends. That one really depends which PSG turns up.
Exactly. Exactly. Sporting Man City are like overwhelming
We know,
favorites for that.
we know what's going on, man. No disrespect to Sporting, they've been doing their thing, but Man City are one of the favourites.
Same with Bayern, overwhelming favourites. Obviously, we want to see how Adeyemi and all them man do, but
We know what time it is, man.
Inter Liverpool are favourites.
I think Inter are a team that's difficult on paper, but once they come up against Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool will have too many problems.
I think it's not Liverpool will like wash them, but it'll be like
They'll win comfortably in it.
yeah. I think Liverpool will overwhelm them. It will be
Yeah,
just a
that
bit too much.
intensity will run them off the park.
And they're another team where I look at them. If they had Lukaku, I might have been different. Just a
Mm,
player that can
an
almost,
outlet.
yeah, almost a player that can bully and run the channels and
Hey,
really
you never know, man. Don Edin Dzeko.
maybe, maybe in 2015 or 2017, but in 2021,
He's an elite streets won't forget baller, bro. A
yeah,
continental streets won't forget
one
baller,
of those underrated players we could have mentioned, man. Yeah,
bro.
but yeah, Liverpool are favourites. Same with Chelsea.
Yeah, we know what's going on with that Chelsea tie.
Villarreal, Juve might be interesting. It might be interesting that one.
Villarreal are organized, man. That's what you can say about Unai Emery's Villarreal. They're organized, but and Juve are poor. But I think Juve might just have the quality. I say that Juve have been poor this year, but yeah, I'll still give them just a slight edge.
I think that might be the shock, but let's see. But it wouldn't be too much of a shock because Juve aren't even.
They went out to Porto last year, to
Yeah.
be fair.
And then the dark horse is Ajax. I imagine them
Mm.
beating Benfica. I don't think Benfica, but
Yeah, good.
I don't know. I don't know because Ajax might just be overrated as well. Innit? They just might be.
Yeah, I mean, that tie is difficult because Ajax topped their group, and under Ten Hag this season they look incredible. So I think they beat Benfica, but I don't know how much further they get. Depends who they get. If they get the winner of the Villarreal Juve tie, then they could go further. If not, then
Mm.
I think they're done.
But no, sometimes it even works better for teams like Ajax to play the bigger sides. That need to step up your level. Sometimes when you're
Mm,
playing against people on your level, you become complacent. So
yeah,
sometimes it might even do them better to play United, for example, where
that'd be a
bigger
very,
names,
very interesting
yeah,
tie because I
because
think
yeah,
that tie is obviously Ten Hag is the favourite to get the United job by most people, but I think that tie is very much, I don't want to say it, but it's very much individuals versus team. Because
Mm.
Man United have the stars, they have the individuals, but Ajax have the interwoven system. And it'd be interesting to see whether Man United's star power can overwhelm Ajax or whether they're disciplined enough and organised enough to take that.
And that's the thing that you mentioned. If it was under Oli, you might actually put United as favourites because United love counter attacking under Oli.
Mm-hmm.
But under Ten Hag, where they're a bit more open, we saw them against Norwich. You
Mm,
can get at them, but obviously
yeah,
this is all in February time, so a lot
be
can
2 months.
change. Yeah, a lot can change in those times. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it
Mm-hmm.
from us. Yeah, we kind of just rambled on, kind of freestyled, made some stuff up. But yeah, you man, comment below. Tell us any underappreciated players that kind of need to get their plaudits and stuff like that. Because I think it's a very interesting topic to see. Because we do miss out some players, that don't really get the flowers they deserve. So yeah, you man, comment that below. But again, the usuals: like, comment, subscribe, follow all the socials, the Twitter, the Instagram, the TikTok. I know it's been a bit here and there with all of them, but yeah, maybe soon we'll start posting again. You man, don't worry about that. But yeah, man, people, we out.